The first thing any gamer notices while playing FIFA Soccer is the realism of the players. Over the years, as video games have become more and more realistic, FIFA Soccer have remained on the cutting edge of innovation and technology. That trend continues this year by utilising a process called 3D head scanning, as well as motion capture sessions that feature professional soccer players.
One of the key things for our consumers is that the players in the game look like their real life counterpart. I mean, if you're going to simulate real life, you need to simulate real life. You can't fake it. So that's a very challenging thing. We have some immensely talented artists in our art department here at EA Sports, but an artist is only as good as the source that you give them.
After delivering last year's game, the FIFA team realised they had gone as far as they could go with the current technology. That's when the crew of EA's on-site motion capture facility, the Capture Lab, invented an all-new process called 3D head scanning.
They proposed this system to me, which is a big camera rig. It's 18 cameras that are put in a dome that kind of surround an athlete sitting on a chair. And the cameras all fire at the same time, so we get this 360 view of a person's head. That then uses some software called DI3D to take those photos and make them into 3D geometry. So the tricky part is taking that and breaking it down into something that's appropriate for a video game, but still retaining all the key surface detail that generates everybody's likeness. Right now, I think we sit at around 750 or so actual proper likenesses.
Working with highly detailed images may seem like it would make the job of animators easier. But in reality, it provides some unique challenges that you may not expect.
The problem that you have is with more detail, it becomes harder to make it look like real life, which it kind of sounds weird, but what happens is you end up in this place called the uncanny valley, because as humans, it's kind of ingrained in us to recognise human characteristics. And we're also all experts at recognising when something is just ever so slightly off. And that's the challenge that you have with higher detail these days, is to try and make sure that you don't show that little bit that's off. And that can just be something as simple as a facial expression that doesn't quite work. Any tiny flaw that breaks the suspension of disbelief, anybody, any human being can pick up on that flaw. It's just naturally ingrained in there from evolution.
The data from the 3D head scanning sessions is then sent to the FIFA artists. The artists refine the 3D models with additional features such as hair, which is too complex for the 3D head scanning process to mimic. Once the model is complete, it is sent to the animators where the motion capture process begins.
Animation is generally quite a time-consuming process. So in FIFA we have hundreds and hundreds of animations, thousands actually. So if we were to spend a whole year just making animations, that would take an army of animators to create all the animations necessary to make sure we have all the motions that we need in the game. So motion capture is a quicker way, a more realistic way to get the actual motions of the professional players into the game. The motion capture space is quite large. We get the players and we suit them up in these tight black spandex suits, mark them up with reflective balls. There are up to 30 to 40 markers on each player. We have the cameras all around the space that pick up the light that reflects off the motion sensors. And we use that to translate it into 3D data, which then goes into the game. And that data gets translated into 3D motion, which then gets put into the game. And as you can see here, I'm just using our motion builder program here to look at a shot of the motion capture data. So this was taken from a player like Jay the Merit here, who's suited up, and that motion gets translated onto the skeleton here, which then gets translated onto another in-game skeleton, as you can see here. The motion is quite realistic. It's very lifelike. That's why we need the professional athletes to get this authentic motion that we wouldn't really be able to get if we animated it by hand. We do all sorts of motion capture for FIFA, from kicks to headers to controlling the ball, even celebrations. Every year we try and capture something new to freshen up the game, to make it more authentic and new. This is it's a simulation video game that we're trying to create, so obviously using the professional players is the way to go. My job is to not only make it as authentic as possible, to make it as fun too.